Well, howdy, listener. A lot of the things I like to read might not be suitable for all audiences, so please check out the episode notes and listen with care. Well, howdy, listener, and welcome back to another episode of Connor Reads Books. Today, we have another chapter read. We are reading from Gabrielle Wanek's Songs of Ashen Dawn, Book 2. So if you've been following the feed, you know that we interviewed Gabrielle back in July, and it's taken a little bit of time to get this story read conducted, but I'm super excited. We got Jackie back in the studio. We also have Lou. You Connor Reads Books heads remember Lou. He's been in plenty of stuff throughout the years, so he jumps in the studio for this one. Thank you so much, Lou. You do a fantastic job. Everyone also is doing video, so if you're listening to this on audio, you want to see our pretty faces, you can go ahead and head over to YouTube and watch us do the read. So Gabrielle, thank you so much for your patience as I have been putting this together. And just for you, and I guess the audience, everybody, this is going to be a 3-parter. So for the next 3 weeks, we will be releasing what is the first chapter of the Songs of Ashen Dawn, Book 2. Warning for those who are fans of the Songs of Ashen Dawn, this is the first chapter of Book 2, so this will contain some spoilers of what is in Book 1. So if you are in the middle of Book 1 and you don't want any spoilers, this might not be the episode. Come on back when you finish Book 1 and enjoy the performance. So thank you so much, Gabrielle. Thank you, Megan. Thank you to the team behind Songs of Ashen Dawn. And enjoy. The Songs of Ash and Dawn, Book 2. Chapter 1. Elizabeth, of Masks and Monsters. Cold air rushed up Elizabeth's arms as she stepped into the temple. The sensation sent a thrill down her spine, power humming in her bones with each step forward. Her cloak pooled around her bare feet like spilled ink, obsidian velvet so dark it swallowed the candlelight. Gold embroidery traced the edges in deliberate patterns, twisting vine, coiled thorns, serpentine flourishes that glinted like veins of molten metal. The trim shimmered faintly with each movement, catching light like fire beneath the surface. The weight pulled at her shoulders, formal and commanding. Beneath the cloak's shadowed folds, glimpses of something fitted and even darker emerged with each step. A promise that she was more than ceremony and cloth. She adjusted the hood draped over her sandy blonde hair, letting it frame her gold mask. The stone floor stung her bare soles with every step, cold leaching through the skin. But she welcomed it. Towering columns loomed overhead, rough and unkempt, forgotten by time. Rows of pews stretched into shadow, wood crumbling where hundreds of worshippers had once knelt in devotion. Graffiti had stained these walls when she'd first claimed this place. Crude marks left by vandals who thought the god's absence made their temples fair game. She'd had every mark scrubbed away. This temple had once belonged to the gods, long abandoned by those who'd praised them. When the gods left this world, retreating into their own realms, free of suffering, free of consequence, free of responsibility, their followers scattered. Their temples crumbled or were razed to make way for the mongrel spawn who'd inherited what the gods left behind. But Elizabeth had claimed one. This place served a new purpose now, her sanctuary, free of judgment, filled with vision. She walked the aisle where sacrifices had once been carried, where priests had prostrated themselves before distant, uncaring divinity. Now, the space belonged to her alone. The pews gave way to people as she advanced. Her people. Chanting filled the vaulted ceiling, low, rough, and reverent, rising into the shadows above. They stood cloaked in darkness, faces obscured by hoods and masks that caught the candlelight. Bronze, copper, silver. Each one reflected more than loyalty. They reflected purity. To Elizabeth, rank was not given, but earned through blood. Bronze masks clustered at the outer pews, simple Columbina styles with no decoration. Plain metal for those furthest from salvation, their bloodlines tangled with mythos corruption. Traces of creatures and magic threading through their veins like rot. They were the largest group, nearly 20 in number. Copper stood closer, fewer, but faithful. Their masks bore faint etchings, curling vine motifs that echoed the embroidery along the hems of their cloaks. Their bloodlines were diluted, thinned by generations of mixing, but not yet pure. They were climbing toward what humanity was meant to be. Silver ringed the inner circle, the rarest and most precious. Families who had fought the tide of corruption, preserving their humanity through generations of careful vigilance. Their masks were delicate and ornate, with silverwork curling around the edges like living vines. They were her most loyal, her most trusted. And she alone wore gold. Not for vanity, for truth. In her, humanity remained perfect, unbroken, untainted. Elizabeth moved through them, and the flames lining the walls seemed to dance in her wake. She stopped at the center, where firelight pooled in a circle on the stone floor. Her gaze lifted to the prisoner. He knelt where the light touched ground, wrists bound in heavy chains that connected to iron rings driven deep into stone. His skin bore the texture of bark, rough in places, smooth in others, shifting between deep forest green and weathered gray. Vein-like markings traced his arms and throat, pulsing faintly with dull emerald light, like sap moving beneath flesh. He pulled against the chains. The metal groaned in protest. A thick collar sat snug around his neck, etched with runes that flickered faintly, binding his magic and forcing him still. Thick, tangled fur fell past his shoulders, dark as soil and threaded with root-like strands. A few brittle leaves clung near his temples, as though they had sprouted from his scalp. His head hung low, but tension coiled through his posture, wild and desperate, even in restraint. Then his eyes met hers, pale green, alive, pupils shifting slowly, round, then narrowing, then stretching into unfamiliar shapes, never settling. A gag cinched tight around his mouth silenced whatever he might have dared to say. Elizabeth smiled, just slightly. She turned, her cloak sweeping behind her like a trailing shadow, and scanned the masked faces of her order, her followers, her faithful. One figure stepped forward from the silver ranks, moving with practiced grace to stand at her right side. The silver mask was delicate, intricate, but the posture beneath the cloak was rigid with devotion. Her right hand, the one who believed, truly believed, that Elizabeth was something beyond mortal, something divine. Elizabeth raised her right hand, and silence fell across the chamber like a blade through cloth. The chanting died instantly, leaving only the heavy sound of breath and crackling fire. She lowered her right hand and lifted her left. The silver knife gleamed in the candlelight. It wasn't ornate, no jewels, no excessive decoration, just a simple, elegant blade with a polished surface that caught every flicker of flame. The handle fit Elizabeth's palm perfectly, balanced and deadly, and the metal hummed faintly when she held it. A vibration so subtle only she could feel it. The Draenach had given her this blade. Her fingers tingled where they touched the handle, pins and needles spreading slowly up her arm. Not unpleasant, but noticeable. Familiar. The same numbness she felt when they brushed against her skin. She'd learned to welcome that feeling. It meant they were close. Elizabeth lifted the blade slightly higher, letting the light play across its surface.
"My children of purity,"
she said, her voice resonating through the ancient hall.
"I stand before you tonight with a tainted creature at my back."
Behind her, the prisoner's chains rattled. A muffled sound escaped the gag. Fear and fury tangled together.
"I stand between you and them,"
Elizabeth continued, her voice growing stronger.
"Between humanity and the foul beasts who corrupted our bloodlines, who stole our world."
A soft ripple of sound moved through the gathered followers. Agreement. Devotion.
"Tonight,"
she said, lifting the blade higher.
"we begin the cleansing."
The prisoner thrashed against his chains, metal scraping stone. Elizabeth didn't flinch, didn't turn.
"One mythos at a time,"
she continued, steady and cold.
"We will purify this world. We will restore the order stolen from us when the gods abandoned their duty and let corruption spread unchecked."
Shouts of approval broke from the crowd. Scattered claps echoed through the vaulted space, building into something fiercer.
"We,"
Elizabeth said, her voice rising, vibrating through the stone beneath their feet.
"the so-called weaker species,"
she scoffed, lifting her chin.
"will show them that we have not been forgotten, that we will not kneel to false gods and their mongrel spawn."
The crowd roared. Voices rose in a wave of fervent devotion, filling the temple with sound that hadn't echoed through these halls in centuries. Elizabeth felt the power of it settle into her bones. This was hers. They were hers. She turned slightly, letting her gaze drift over the prisoner. He stared back at her, pale green eyes wild with terror and rage, pupils flickering rapidly between shapes.
"Tonight,"
she said, her voice cutting through the noise, silencing her followers once more.
"we take the first step toward..."
The temple doors exploded open. The sound crackled through the hall like a cannon blast, reverberating off stone, drowning out everything else. Elizabeth's words died on her tongue. Her head snapped toward the entrance, anger flaring hot beneath her ribs, tightening her jaw. Then, cold dread followed. Nick, the man she had not seen in months, sprinted into the hall, and he looked like Helheim itself had chewed him up and spat him back into this world. His dark, disheveled hair clung to his forehead, damp with sweat. His silver helix earring caught the torchlight, the corrupted aquamarine gem pulsing faintly against his pale, hollow skin. His eyes, blood-red irises glowing like coals, were sunken deep beneath bruised rings that looked like rot. His clothes hung torn and filthy on his frame, stained with dirt and something darker. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in years, dragging the stench of death and shadow with him. Elizabeth's followers stiffened. Hands slipped to weapons hidden beneath their cloaks. Whispers cracked through the hall like brittle twigs snapping underfoot. The ritual's fervent energy twisted into something colder, fearful. Nick's voice, hoarse and broken, echoed through the chamber.
"The seal."
Elizabeth reacted before he could say more. Her blade flashed downward in a commanding arc.
"Clear the hall."
Her voice cut through the chaos like ice through flesh. Cold. Absolute. There was a beat of silence. Then the bronze and copper masks moved first, slipping into shadows without question, their robes whispering across stone as they fled toward the side corridors. But the silver ranks hesitated, the ones closest to her, the ones who would spill blood for her word. They stood frozen, uncertain, their masks tilting slightly as though looking for her confirmation. Elizabeth's gaze snapped to them. For a fraction of a second, the room tightened with tension. Her golden mask gleamed in the low light, and in her eyes behind the metal was a silent, unforgiving promise. Obey or else. The silver masks dipped their heads in silent submission and turned away, filing out with the others in swift obedience. The heavy doors boomed shut behind them, sealing the hall once again. Only her right hand remained, standing motionless at her side, utterly still. Elias, the one who never questioned, never hesitated, never left her side when danger darkened her doorstep. Elizabeth lowered the blade slowly, feeling the tingle in her fingers intensify for just a moment before fading back to that familiar hum. She turned, deliberate and unhurried, to face Nick.
Why are you here?
She asked, her voice soft but edged with command. Nick stood hunched in on himself, shadows clinging to his torn clothes like living things. His chest heaved with each breath, and unease rolled off him in visible waves. Elizabeth studied him for a long moment, letting the silence stretch, and letting him feel the weight of her displeasure.
Why are you here?
Elizabeth asked again, this time in a softer tone. Her voice carried the kind of gentleness that made smart men nervous.
I did.
I'm in no mood for this, Nick.
Her tone sliced clean.
Get to the point.
He flinched.
I was attacked. And all of our work...
Our work?
Elizabeth stepped toward him, her cloak whispering across stone. A dangerous smile curved at the edge of her lips beneath the gold mask.
My dear boy,
she said softly.
You mistake clarity for partnership.
But you...
Nick started.
I gave you the means to figure it out on your own.
Elizabeth cut him off, her voice calm, almost bored.
I did not give you permission to drag me into your chaos.
She tilted her head slightly, the blade still gleaming in her left hand.
Everything you did was yours to bear, not mine.
Nick's breath came faster, words tumbling over each other.
Please, you have to understand. In the cavern, there were...
I understand perfectly,
Elizabeth said, her tone flat.
You failed to.
No, listen!
Nick stepped forward, desperation cracking through his voice.
They were stronger than anything I faced. The magic, the way they fought together.
Excuses.
Elizabeth turned slightly, as if already dismissing him.
It wasn't!
His voice rose, ragged.
There were 3 of them. I thought I could.
You thought?
Elizabeth's words cut like the blade in her hand.
How predictable.
One was a god.
The words exploded from Nick's throat, raw and breaking. Elizabeth froze. Behind her, a sharp intake of breath quickly stifled. Even her right hand couldn't hide his shock at that. Jackie Yangyuen as Elizabeth. Lou Fox as Nick. Connor McEverly as the narrator. The Songs of Ash and Dawn, Book 2, Chapter 1, Elizabeth, of Masks and Monsters. Written by Gabrielle Wanek. Howdy, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you're looking forward for the next 2 episodes to come out in the next couple of weeks. So once again, this was an excerpt. This was the first chapter of Songs of Ash and Dawn, Book 2, written by Gabrielle Wanek. We also have Gabrielle's interview on the feed, so check out the episode notes.
Gabrielle's been on the show a couple of times, so I'll include the links to the other episodes in the episode notes as well if you want to like read a little bit of book 1 or listen to the book 1 chapter. Just want to give another huge thank you to Gabrielle Wanek and her team for reaching out to me, setting up another interview, for letting us read a chapter of Songs of Ash and Dawn 2. It's an awesome book. Folks, go check out the episode notes, go see Gabrielle's webpage, go buy the Songs of Ash and Dawn. And if you like audiobooks, the Songs of Ash and Dawn, both books, are already in audio format. They are performed by the talented Melissa Redmond, so go ahead and check those out. Some really good work being done over there. Gabrielle, thank you so much for your patience. I know we interviewed like back in June, and I have this now, but I hope you enjoy what we've done with your chapter. Hope you enjoy the next few episodes coming out. So thank you very much once again. Again, huge thank you to Jackie Yangyuen and Lou Fox for coming on the show. Thank you guys so much for giving your voices and taking the video too. I know that's always a little stretch going from audio to video, so thank you guys so much for being able to do this. Anyway, folks, Jackie and Lou are voice actors for hire. I myself am a voice actor for hire, but if you didn't already know that, you know, now you do. Their links will be in the episode notes, so if you want their voices for your projects, click their links and get in contact. And thank you so much for coming in and listening to another episode of Connor Reads Books. I'm having a lot of fun with the show. I'm making some great connections here with awesome indie writers and having a blast performing chapters from their books and getting to know folks a little bit better in the writing space. So thank you for joining me on the Connor Reads Books journey. I hope you enjoy what we're doing. If you do, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the episodes and the stuff we make. So yeah, just let me know. There are contact links in the episode notes. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for stopping in. Keep an eye out for next week and the week after, where we will have more Songs of Ash and Dawn Book 2. We'll hear what happens with Nick and Elizabeth, and maybe even that poor Leshy chained to the ground. So, without any further ado, folks, have a great day. Thank you for being here. And until next we turn the page, toodaloo. This has been Connor Reads Books. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have, please share and leave a review. Feel free to check out my social medias at @LConnorVoice. Links in the episode notes. A big thank you to Louis Sanders, the producer of the Connor Reads Books theme song. Until next we turn the page, toodaloo.